I'm John Reynolds, and from 1998 to 2013, I was in essence in charge of the A-levels at the college. So about 2001, 2002, Carl appeared and was saying, I've not had the greatest academic career at school, but I really want to do well. He was a student that I thought made absolute sense coming to college because, just like myself, I did my A-levels at the college many years before Carl and thoroughly enjoyed it. And one of the things that I recognised was that Carl wasn't happy at school, particularly, I don't think, but I thought, you know, the way he is, the way he handled himself, being confident, knowing what he wanted to do, I thought he's going to go far at college. And I didn't think about afterwards because my job was simply to get them through and get them off to university. But from what he said the last few days to me in the last few weeks when he met me in the art gallery and flagged me down and said, John, remember me? I'm going, I do. Then we've reminisced the last few weeks, so I think it should be over to Carl.
Thanks, John. I was a student here in 2002 to 2004.
I got that right.
You did, so that's a great memory, to be fair. And yeah, you're right. Like, school was horrendous for me because, whilst I had belief in myself, I think, you know, I loved learning and I just wanted to achieve a lot of things. My family were the same. My parents were great as well. But school was about being labelled and judged, right? It's about people deciding who you are and what you're capable of before you've had a chance to understand who you really are. And I always felt like I was rebelling against something. So you think, maybe I'd come to college and I'd stop rebelling. But actually, I just found people to rebel with and to say, you know what, we'll support your ambitions. We can see in you what you see in yourself. You know, great conversation with my mum as well, with respect for her that I'd never seen from people throughout my school life, which just made me feel wanted and appreciated and supported. And all of a sudden you're fighting to say that you can achieve something, and all of a sudden people say, you know what, we believe that too. Look at where you could possibly go. So then those impossible dreams that you have just become a reality when somebody takes the time to get to know you and knows that, yeah, you're not that straightforward. I might not always be on time at first.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
It's led on to the one that I always say about Carl. Whenever we had students, but particularly when people like Carl were saying I wasn't the best attender and, you know, I didn't get on at school, we say, well, if you can turn up on time, it would be good. If you could turn up on time and regularly, that would be good. If you could take some notice in lessons, if you could stay awake till the end, that would be good. And Carl agreed all of this. And to be fair to him, the first term worked absolutely fine. And the first or second week after Christmas, we had an Ofsted inspection. And we were up in one of the rooms that I just took over the geography in September, so it wasn't the best room in the world. It was a biology lab. And the inspector was sitting there at the back with about 15 or 16 students who'd all turned up on time. And for the first time ever, Carl turned up about half hour, 40 minutes late. So I have to sort of put on a grimace to him, and he puts on a grimace back to me. And the two of us know we're playing a game, but it's absolutely fine because the inspector goes at the end, he says, you really gave that chap a stern look. I'm going, I certainly did. And the way he looked back, he looked terrified. But we knew exactly what we were doing.
Yeah, we were fine. We had that understanding, definitely. But I think overall, I wanted to be here, right? No one makes you come here, right? You need to want to be here. And this was the first place, and it was yourself, and there was, when I did sociology, it was Rami who did sociology at the time, right? And imagine going throughout your whole school life, and nobody ever just says, I want to hear what you have to say. And to me, that was a crazy thing, right? I'd never, ever experienced that before. Somebody just saying, I want to hear your opinion now.
Yeah, because you couldn't get away with that in geography, sitting there quietly.
No, absolutely not. But even just...
Because geography is all about, in some respects, opinions.
No, absolutely.
You know what I mean?
But not just answer this question, but how do you feel about this? What's your opinion? What's your take? And I'd never experienced that before in my whole childhood. So to come here and have that was incredible. I think the teaching was amazing. Geography was great. I loved geography. So
I'll give you the £10.
yeah, but you know what it is? I loved it, right? So I was a kid. I didn't love storybooks as much as I loved volcanoes, earthquakes, biology, whatever it may be, right? Natural sciences and things like that. So I absolutely loved things like that. And when somebody has the same enthusiasm, because you love it too, right?
Yeah, they paid me to look.
No, you chose to do it well before you got paid to do it, right?
All right, good.
So I think when somebody has that same passion for a particular subject, and that's why, I did really well in geography, and I'm immensely proud of that, but so much of that is down to you and your teaching, right? You got us out of the classroom so often, didn't you?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if we're here in the courtyard or up in Church Stretton or on a random riverbank somewhere, right? We were always out of the classroom doing something. We were in Wales for a week at one point. We did so much stuff, right, to get us out and about and really thinking about it. And John was instrumental in making sure that happened to bring it all to life.
Oh, we did, of course. We did several minibus trips around Wolverhampton to look at various ecology and stuff.
Yeah, we did. We went to look at railway sidings and things like that. I might have been the only person that found that interesting, I'll be honest.
It was a bit sort of desolate, fly-tipped, wasn't it, and things, yeah. Yeah, what we had to do, we had to look at different sorts of land uses, and one of them was about, derelict, overgrown, unused land, and the only bit I could find was the old railway sidings down on the back end of what is Fowler's Park. If you go down there, it's possibly one of the most undesirable bits of land you could find in Wolverhampton, and they traipsed around for about an hour finding out different sorts of vegetation and things. I remember that.
Yeah, moss, mainly moss.
And sort of weeds and things.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. It's different to a formal one like, say, West Park or somewhere like that. So, it was getting them to understand different sorts of ecology, different sorts of vegetation. Yeah, and you're right. We did a session on weather. So whatever the weather was like that day, we had to go out and look at it. And you did your own mini weather forecasts.
Yeah,
that's right. I remember.
Exactly.
Blimey, that was a long time ago.
When I first started, right, so my GCSE results, sorry to go back so far, but GCSE results were pretty terrible, right? So I had a couple of C's. So I think I did get 5 C's just.
Otherwise you wouldn't let you in.
No. And then I had 2 D's, I think, and the rest fails, right? So school didn't want me there and I didn't want to be there. So when I came here and we persuaded John to let me do the A-levels that I wanted to do and talked about where I wanted to go in life, right? It was great validation. From there, it was difficult, right? So the step up from GCSE to A-level was difficult, but I think I adjusted relatively quickly. And then once didn't go well the first term when we sat the first paper, we all did quite badly, but we'll gloss over that one. And then we started, we regained focus across the board. And then when we got to the end of AS, I was looking at A's and B's, and I kind of thought, wow, this is incredible, right? Never, ever had this before. So then we start talking about university, and we start talking about where it could possibly go. And the university offer I had was for 3 A's, right? So, and I'd done AVC, ICT as well, which counted as an A level, right? So I could afford effectively to get like 3 A's and a B. So I was an absolute bag of nerves. I would be the first person in my family to ever go to university, and I was going to a good university to do a good subject, so the pressure was massive. So kind of the last thing I needed at that moment, I guess, was to open my A-level results live on local radio, but John thought that it would be an incredible opportunity, which means that you must have known something that I didn't. So trembling, I opened the envelope, and then I saw that I'd got straight A's. I just remember shouting. I wasn't remotely gracious at all. I was just so excited that I was just like, yes, I'm the best. I was just really, I kind of cringe now thinking about it, but I was just really, really excited and proud. And then I went outside into the courtyard and called my mum to tell her, and that was an incredible moment at that point.
It's really quite difficult because I don't think I did anything different with Carl than I did with anybody else in some respects. I think it helps that I think a lot of the students like Carl come to the college and want to do what they want to do. So certainly my geography lectures were perhaps of the more laid-back, participative variety that suited Carl. And I think, to be fair to the most of the geography students, suited them because if you do something like geography, you've got an interest in the real world about you. So as Carl said, taking them out to have a look at things made a big difference. I remember the awards evening that Carl went to, and he was obviously nominated for A-level Student of the Year, and he got that quite reasonably. And he was nominated for the overall College Student of the Year, and you got that as well, didn't you?
I did.
And I can remember Sue Chambers, who was the Director of Personnel at the time, said to me, "It's not anything to do with you, John, it's to do with Carl." So that put me in my place.
Yeah.
But it's really nice because Carl's not the only ex-student who I've seen occasionally, and it's really nice to know that we at the college do something different to school. That means, you know, we are adding to people's lives that they wouldn't perhaps have done otherwise. And the key thing really is that we need to make sure that we can carry on doing that, that the government talks about funding FE properly, and it needs to do that. Because for students like Carl, coming here makes a very big difference indeed. And we need to be able to do that in some respects as well as we do and better than we do in FE.
It's been an interesting one. So I've been lucky and unlucky in some respects, right? So I went on to the University of Birmingham to study law. That was quite an adjustment, right? So it's very different. You know, here people are happy to have you, right? That university is very much like you're lucky to be there. There's a little bit of an adjustment there, but it was a great time that I had there. Graduated in 2008 into the worst recession that we've seen.
It wasn't Gordon Brown's fault.
I know. But bad timing, really, I think. So there wasn't really much to choose from in terms of where to go. Had a stint at RBS. Picked terribly by joining RBS, obviously. So that ended badly in 2009.
Could have been Northern Rock.
Well, yeah, I don't know if it was probably just as bad, to be honest. And then I decided to travel for a little while, right? So I went to Southeast Asia, went to Japan first, and then went to a few other places as well, as you do, right? It's a bit of a cliche to kind of find yourself. So that's what I decided to do. So when I came back, I had a very short legal career, very, very short. Decided very quickly it wasn't for me. Ended up in banking in the uplifting area of mortgage arrears and litigation. That led me into wealth management, so restructuring, forbearance and things for wealth managed clients, wealth management support, then started to look at investments, pensions, inheritance tax planning, those types of things. Became a wealth manager. Through other circumstances in my life, unfortunately, through loss of my father at that time, I thought about, am I on a career trajectory here that makes me happy? Am I just working perpetually for the sake of it? Do I really, really enjoy what I do? Or am I just chasing, moving further and further up as quick as I possibly could? So I took a massive switch at that point from wealth management into commercial credit risk. So really looking at risk models, underwriting commercial lending deals and those types of things. And I absolutely loved it. So I had an opportunity then to go out into the field and look at relationship managing corporate clients. And I looked at risk segmentation and modeling. So if you think about business banking, business loans, overdrafts, credit cards, how they're scored, how data flows go through in order to create credit strategies and things like that. Worked on setting up committees and things like that too. So then after that, what was a 10-year career at HSBC, building all of that, there was an opportunity to join corporate bank in London called Shawbrook, where I am now. First of all, as a credit governance manager, looking at larger businesses, larger business transactions to start with, and again, looking at the governance around policy and credit metrics and things like that. And very recently, I moved to become the head of SME credit risk policy and governance at that bank. College is the crucial element above anything, right? More than university even, honestly, because you've got to think, you know, I feel apart, right, from the system. I feel judged. You know, we're not necessarily here to talk about some of the other social things, but you've got to think that from a tiny little council estate in Wolverhampton, right? You go from being 13, 14 years old. You have to understand when you start to be stopped by the police for no reason, and all of those other things that play on your mind, and the way that you're judged and labelled in society before you've had a chance to show who you really are. So there's never been a bigger transition in life to arriving here. People seeming to actually like who I was and treating me like a real person and saying, you know what, we're not going to tell you who you are. Tell us who you want to be and we'll support you in your journey to get there. There's nothing more powerful than that.
Now, the other way round, I remember you saying about going on the field trip, and there were 2 or 3 other groups from schools there, and I was meant to...
What are you going to say?
And I was meant to go and sit with the staff.
Okay.
And you, as a group of students, said, "Why aren't you sitting with us?" and told me to come sit with you, which I thought was really nice, actually. Because you could have gone, "No, we're not having it." But actually, you rescued me from the staff from the other schools who were very boring, so that was much better. Thank you. And final aside, I do remember now when you said you were going to do law, saying I think you'd be a bit bored by it.
But I met Rob, right? So at the time, the MP for Wolverhampton South West was Rob Maris, right? Who you've known for many years. And so when I got the award, Rob was there to present the award, and he actually wrote me a letter as well afterwards. So the awards evening and everything that surrounded it was amazing. I got to stand up there and get that surprise. I ended up, it went quite far actually, because then it was in the newspaper, and then the college had some sort of criticism. My mum's got this, I'm going to bring it in, okay? There was some critique of results levels that were being achieved at the time. And then the college put a picture of me in the paper to say, "We've done really well." And then I ended up in like random newsletters and lots of random things, essentially, mainly in the Express and Star, where my picture would just crop up in random things. The journey has been good. This is the most crucial part of this, part of my journey, is here. And the people, John, Rami, Jane Marchant was massive for me as well. So, yeah, it's the biggest, not one of the contributing factors. So for me, I want students to think of themselves differently. And whatever I can do beyond this to help that happen would be good. But I'll just repeat something that I said when I did a talk when I was at HSBC at the time, to tell people what makes me special, right? And what makes me special is nothing. I'm exactly the same as thousands and thousands of other people, but people aren't looking for people like me. And the career that we've been through at education institutions and things like that, that isn't where the people in control are looking. They're not looking at those areas and those colleges all the time. You have to put yourself in the frame and say, I am capable, I deserve to be here. And I want this institution to continue to take people from all walks of life and inspire them to understand that there are no limits on where they can go. It's just inspiring self-belief. It doesn't matter where you've been. That won't define you. You can go wherever you want to go. That's what it did for me, and I hope that it continues to do that for other people.
Yeah. I mean, from my point of view, when I was in charge of A-levels, it wasn't what you came in with that we were interested in. It was what you went out with at the other end and what you did with it, absolutely. And yourself and those students of that geography year was a really good, successful year. Absolutely. Yourself and a load of them went on to do university, and as I said, a couple of them kept in touch, and one I saw in the comp with me the other day. So it was just, yeah. The key thing about the college is that it's there for you, and you do what you want at the college to make sure it works for you. It is different from school. That will suit some people. It may not suit some people, but as Garth said, the key thing is you've got the support and guidance of ADL to make sure you get through. Go and do it.